Good morning, Canada. Welcome to the weekend edition of Your Morning. I'm Lindsey Deluce.
Very exciting. Hey, I'm Teddy Wilson.
I'm Kelsey McEwen. We hope you're having a wonderful Easter weekend. We have so many great conversations coming up today.
We sure do, Kels. Coming up in minutes, we are speaking with an Ontario teenager on his way to Nunavut as part of a hockey exchange.
That's awesome. We'll also be joined by a National Geographic Explorer at large who has one of the coolest jobs out there, exploring the rainforest canopy in Costa Rica.
Honestly, she really does.
Yeah.
Before we get to all of that, we have this conversation coming up. A rise in a dangerous exercise-related condition. It's prompting warnings from doctors in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Doctors in Newfoundland and Labrador say cases of rhabdomyolysis, or rhabdo for short, have spiked, particularly among young women. In just 6 months, they have seen 20 cases. That is 8 times higher than the usual rate. Physicians believe intense workout routines, fueled in part by social media pressure, is what's driving this trend. Joe Cannon, exercise physiologist and author of Rhabdo, The Scary Side Effect of Exercise You've Never Heard Of, is joining us now. Good morning and welcome.
Welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
I'm one of those people who should read your book because I had not heard of rhabdo. Can you explain it for us?
Yeah, and you're in good company. Rhabdo is essentially a medical condition where the body responds to a stress in a strange way, where the muscle fibers break down and quickly release their contents into the bloodstream. And this can cause some catastrophic problems. People can have extreme muscle swelling where they can't bend or extend their arms. They could have really bad muscle pain. Their kidneys may shut down. They may even need dialysis. And in some cases, even surgery may be required to help it.
Can you explain for us further, doctor? Like, this is more than just overworked muscles or tired muscles. What exactly is happening that's leading to kidney shutdown?
Yeah, so there's a protein in the muscles called myoglobin, which is very crucial. We definitely need it, but too much too quickly can overwhelm the kidney's ability to filter it, and the kidneys will literally shut down, and your urine production can shut down as well. And this sometimes can require dialysis.
So then talk to us about the kinds of workouts or behaviors that are putting people in this risk category.
Yeah, so the thing to remember with rhabdo is it often occurs when we do a lot of stuff that we're not used to doing. I know really intense exercise usually gets a lot of the attention here, but it's when we do a lot of things we're not used to doing. When we do activities that we're not used to doing, that's unusual and repetitive, then we are becoming, we work harder at it. And this means our need for energy increases. And if our need for energy increases faster than we can make energy, this causes a breakdown in the cells of the muscles, releasing the toxins into the bloodstream and causing rhabdo.
So if I'm hearing you right, it is not just exertion, it is repetition and exertion.
Yes, if it's repetitive and unusual, and in terms of strength training, if it involves a lot of weight, a lot of reps, a lot of sets, again, repetitive, unusual movement patterns for people can cause this phenomenon.
Okay, how serious can it get and how quickly does that happen?
It usually happens in one workout. Many people
Wow.
I've talked to over the years, it's happened within one 30 to 60-minute workout with, say, a personal trainer. It can be very serious. While it is rare, there have been people who have died from rhabdo.
So it has been fatal in some cases. What are the red flags then people should not be ignoring after a workout?
Yeah, there's many reported things that can happen with rhabdo. The most classic symptoms are intense muscle pain, swelling, and your urine changes color. Not like yellow, like you're dehydrated, but your urine often looks like iced tea or like cola color, reddish, brownish color. And that's due to the release of that myoglobin protein in the urine. But I want to point out that a lot of people don't have the classic 3 symptoms. So that makes it very difficult to diagnose on the fly without getting medical attention. Doctors can very easily diagnose this with a blood test to determine if you have it or not.
And then what's the fix? What's the cure?
The cure is, if you have a very bad case of rhabdo, you may end up being in the hospital. You're going to get IV fluids. Some cases, again, you may have to have dialysis to get better. But there are also people out there who they mistake it for regular muscle soreness. They never get checked out, and they just get better on their own. But again, the only way to really know is to get checked out by a physician.
We started this conversation by alluding to social media. So in your research, how much of a role does social media and fitness culture play in people pushing themselves too far?
Yeah, I have seen social media posts where it makes people think that they have to exercise to extreme exhaustion to get benefits from exercise. And that's actually not true. One of my favorite studies found that people who only walked for 15 minutes a day lived 3 years longer than people who did not exercise at all. So the body responds amazingly well to even a little bit of physical activity. But I have seen these posts where people are doing bicep curls on, for example, the rowing machine and doing it in unison with other people. And I also think that there is, again, a culture within the fitness industry that pushes this mantra of you have to exercise intensely to get results. Definitely not true.
What's your best advice then for people who say, I want to stay active, but I don't want to end up in this category with rhabdo?
Yeah, so if you are joining a gym or you're working out from the beginning, again, I think sometimes this happens when the beginning of the year occurs and people join a gym and they're formerly sedentary. But the best advice I can give you is start slowly when you do new types of activities. Don't go in and start doing leg day and chest day and arm day. Start with one set per body part, lightweight, move to the next exercise. Do, for example, a circuit strength program for the first few months. Get your body used to this new activity you're going to do. And rhabdo should not happen.
Rhabdo should not happen. Good way to end our conversation. Joe Cannon, exercise physiologist and author of Rhabdo, the scary side effect of exercise you've never heard of. And now we all have. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
It's my pleasure.
Coming up, a shared love of hockey, paving the way for a cultural experience. We speak with an Ontario teen on his way to Nunavut as part of a hockey exchange.
If you think your job comes with a good view, stop what you're doing for just 1 second and take a look at this. You are watching Nalini Nadkarni do what she does best, which for decades has involved scrambling up tree trunks, dangling from the treetops, exploring the rainforest canopy in Costa Rica, and then explaining to the rest of us mere mortals why it matters so deeply. Nadkarni is an ecologist and a National Geographic Explorer at large. She's out of the trees and onto our studio this morning, and we are honored to have you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Kelsey. Glad to be here.
The visuals of you shimmying up that rope are just breathtaking. So I have to ask you, how did you know that you could do this? And what started that spark for you?
Well, it was really a love of and curiosity about trees. And when I was a little kid, I used to climb trees in my parents' front yard. And I always pictured like, oh, one day I want to do something to protect trees. And I ended up taking an academic pathway, learning about trees, becoming a forest ecologist. And as a grad student, there was really almost nobody who was studying the canopy. It was called the last biotic frontier. But I encountered a few people who were beginning to start exploring the canopy, and they were using mountain climbing techniques, treating trees like big rocks or big mountains. So I apprenticed with them and I learned their techniques. We learned how to shoot lines into trees and then tie off the ropes and then climb that rope, just like rock climbers do very routinely. And that's really what let me get up into the canopy safely and non-destructively. And I've been doing that ever since.
That's amazing. Most of us will never see what you see.
I hope more people, I hope everybody gets up to the forest canopy at some point.
I know. I mean, the closest a lot of us will get is looking at these pictures. So can you describe for us firsthand what it feels like when you get to the top and you look out? What do you see and what do you hear?
Sure. So if I were to take you, Kelsey, to my study site in Costa Rica, we'd be walking through the dark, damp forest floor because all those overhanging branches and leaves make everything dark, damp. There's hardly any wind. But as soon as I put you in your harness, and you start inchworming your way up the rope, you start realizing that as you move higher and higher, you're getting to a much more open environment. There's much more sunlight, greater extremes of relative humidity and temperature, more wind up there. And so when you're actually finally perched on a branch 100 feet above the forest floor, the atmosphere is like you're in an open field. And you look out over this three-dimensional volume of 1,000 leaves, and each tree is moving in a slightly different direction. And so it's this completely different perspective of the forest. And it's, I think, how everyone should be able to see the forest. And if you've ever been on a zip line, you can have that sense of going through the canopy and just feeling the wind on your face, the openness, and this different world.
Wow. That's amazing. You've been researching these tree canopies for decades, and you understand what's happening environmentally much more than the average person would. But an important part of your job is relating all that information back down to the average person, someone who may not get it. who may
Right.
not love trees the way you do. So how do you connect that love to things that make sense for them?
That is a great question, and I thought deeply about it because, you know, it's easy enough to convince people who already love trees or already care about nature that trees and forests are important. And so I had to think about, well, what sector of society am I not interested in? Am I not interested, and what would it take to get me connected? And so, for one thing, I'm not interested in professional sports. Like, I really don't care who wins the World Series or who wins the hockey, whatever
The Stanley Cup.
prize. Yeah, the Stanley Cup. Thank you very much. But somebody told me, Nalini, you know, all baseball bats are made out of wood. And wood comes from trees. So suddenly I had this connection between something I don't care about, baseball, with something I deeply care about, which is the wood that makes up bats. The wood and the trees that connect with the world of sports. So I learned that bats are made of ash and maple and hickory, and that provided a connection to the world of professional sports. So that made me realize that what I have to do is find something that people already love and link trees to that.
Wow.
And so that's the way I've gone about doing public engagement, is not just saying, well, since I love trees, you must love trees. So I've worked with religious groups to talk about how trees are portrayed in the Bible, like the tree of life. I mean, that's right on the first page of the Old Testament. Very important tree, the tree of life, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And there are actually 328 references in the Old Testament about trees, how they're important for practical use, analogies to God, geographical markers. And so if someone is religious and may not believe in evolution or may not believe in why biodiversity of trees is important, I can say, well, let's look at your own holy scriptures and see how trees are described as something important, something valuable, something that God created, and something that we should treasure and protect.
That's amazing. Finding connection in places that are unexpected.
Yeah.
Speaking of, can we talk about Barbie?
Yes, we can.
For a second, I knew you'd be game for this because a few years ago, you helped design
I did.
an Explorer Barbie.
That's right.
What was that like?
Well, you know, it all came about the fact that I found my connection to trees as a little girl. But I was lucky. My parents had these 8 maple trees that lined my driveway, our driveway. So I could run home after school and climb these trees. But what about a little girl who lives in Toronto or New York City or Nairobi or Tokyo where there aren't trees that she can climb? So I had to think about, what is it that little girls love and aspire to? And the answer, of course, is Barbie. Even my own daughter, who was 6 years old, said, "Mom, will you get me a Barbie?" Because they treasure that. And so I thought, well, let's transform the image that we have of Barbie, which is going to proms and buying cars and jewelry and makeup and so forth, but instead piggyback the image of someone who climbs trees. So we went to Mattel, and they said, no, we're not interested in a treetop Barbie. This was back in 2004. And so my students and I began making treetop Barbies. We bought used Barbies. We got volunteer seamstresses to sew little clothes, got little helmets, wrote a little booklet about canopy plants. And I sold them on my academic website, which like nobody ever visits. But fast forward 20 years, it turns out Mattel and National Geographic created a partnership to create Explorer Barbies. They asked me to be an advisor, and as a thank you, they made a one-of-a-kind Nalini lookalike treetop Barbie.
That is so cool.
I treasure that.
Oh, I bet you should.
Yeah.
I treasure this conversation. Thank you so much for coming
You're
on the show
welcome.
today.
Thanks, Kelsey.
It is the experience of a lifetime for a group of Canadian teens united by a shared love of hockey, but divided geographically from very different parts of the country until now. Back in February, Hockey Cares hosted a group of players from Coogarook, Nunavut. They came to Ontario to meet a group of St. Catharines-based players, and now the shoe, or I should say the skate, is on the other foot. And the Ontario teens are getting ready to head north to Nunavut next month. This is all thanks to Experiences Canada. And this morning, you're going to meet one of those teens involved in this exchange program. Liam is a 16-year-old center in St. Catharines. Liam, welcome to your morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Tell me, first of all, what was it like to meet your counterparts from Coogarook?
Oh, it was amazing. You know, we were actually at the Niagara Ice Dogs game waiting for them to get here because their flight was delayed. And we had signs for them. And once they got here, I was a little bit nervous because I didn't know what to expect. But we started to connect with them, and they were just great kids. And it was the perfect location because hockey's the common ground between us. And that helps so much just to connect with them.
Yeah, and to be able to watch a game and cheer for the sport that you both love. What did you learn from them, Liam?
So the best thing I learned from them was something called a kunik. It's a nose kiss or an Eskimo kiss, and it's like that. You go like that to them and kind of just nose kiss them. That was a really cool thing I learned from them. And then they just told us lots of really cool stories about their home. But once I get there, I guess I'll just get to learn about more of their culture and their way of life. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you more about that in a second, but I'm curious too, what was their reaction to being down south in Ontario and Niagara Falls?
They were definitely like overwhelmed, I guess, but they just wanted to see everything and take it all in. They wanted to see everything. They loved all the experiences we did on Clifton Hill. They loved taking lots of photos, all the immersive experiences down there. We went under the falls, and that was really cool because even I've never seen that. So first time experience for all of us, I would say.
Oh, I love that you had that shared. Listen, I am very envious of your trip north. I've been wanting to go there for a long time. What are you most looking forward to seeing when you go to Coogalook?
I am most looking forward to see their rink and how it is compared to ours, because our rinks are refrigerated by like cooling systems, but theirs is just powered by the temperature outside.
Oh,
so I want to see how that's different from our rink, as well as, you know, their food I'm really excited to have. And if we get to go ice fishing and sledding.
Amazing.
So, and something I've never done before is ice fishing. And of course, I'm excited to see my new friends again and have a rematch on the ice.
Oh, I'm even more jealous than ever. Liam, thanks so much for joining us here on Your Morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
For more information about this program, you can visit the Hockey Cares website at hockeycares.ca.
Ahead on Your Morning, calls for Canada to lower the screening age for colorectal cancer and why more people are being diagnosed. That's next.
March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, and doctors are saying more people need to get screened. Groups like the Canadian Cancer Society are calling for that screening age to be lowered to the age of 45. So for more on what screening and treatments look like, we're joined by Dr. Enrique Sanz Garcia, medical oncologist and clinician investigator at Princess Margaret Cancer Center. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So let's start with who is being diagnosed for this. According to the Canadian Cancer Society, people under the age of 50 are now 2 to 2.5 times more likely to receive a diagnosis than previous generations were. Do we know why?
So that's a very good point. I am seeing that in my practice at UHM Princess Margaret Cancer Center, an increase on people coming below the age of 50. I wish I could give you a straight answer of what is the other reasons. We are looking into that. We are doing a lot of research. Somehow at this time, we believe it's a bit of a mix of different reasons. Probably the diet, the sedentarism, also the intake of alcohol. That makes changes into your bowels. It makes your guts in the bowels to change, the microbiota. And we think that's one of the reasons why this is happening.
Okay, so more investigation needs to be done, more study needs to be done. We know roughly 72 people in Canada are diagnosed every single day with colorectal cancer. What are some early symptoms that people should be on the lookout for? And I appreciate you probably can't give me an extensive list, but maybe a few things for people to think about and to notice and pay attention to.
Yeah, so one of the most common symptoms is bleeding, stool bleeding. As you may know, there are multiple reasons for stool bleeding, but if you have a constant bleeding that you don't justify by other reasons, like for example, hemorrhoids, you need to seek medical attention for that. One symptom that is very common in colorectal cancer is the alternation between diarrhea and constipation. And also if you have more fatigue than usual, you have some abdominal pain that you cannot know what is the reason for, I think you should ask your family doctor to look at you and have a potential analysis to see if something is going on.
The last point on that list there, unexplained weight loss is something to pay attention to.
Yeah, that's something that is quite common in every type of cancer, not only colorectal cancer, but yes, that's something that you have to consider also.
Okay. When should people start getting screened? From your medical professional expertise, when would you say is the time to start looking into this?
So as you mentioned before, there is a push from different associations to try to lower the age of screening, but at this time point, based on the guidelines that we have in Canada, we should ask everyone at the age of 50 to get screened for a fit test. Said that, if you have a family member that has been diagnosed with an early onset colorectal cancer, which is earlier than 50 years old, you may qualify for an earlier screening.
Okay, and what is the FIT test?
So the FIT test is a very simple test. Basically, you took a sample of your stools and you sent to the lab, and what we look there is to see blood. If you have blood in the stools, then that will trigger the second step, which is the famous colonoscopy. So bottom line, you don't need to get a colonoscopy to do a screening. With a FIT test, it will cover most of the people.
Okay, what does treatment look like right now in the event that you're diagnosed with colorectal cancer? What are we looking at?
So I think we are improving a lot the survival rates, and we are curing more and more people. The surgery are less invasive, the radiation are more powerful, and obviously from my perspective as a medical oncologist, we are implementing new therapies. Chemotherapy is important, but we are also looking into target therapies. We are also looking into exercise. We know that if you are diagnosed with a colorectal cancer, after your surgery, doing an exercise is going to improve your survival. Aspirin, there are many things that we are looking at, and many new drugs that are coming on the pipeline. And at Princess Margaret Cancer Center, we are looking into that, and we are doing a lot of research with those drugs.
The way your eyes lit up when I asked you about what treatment is like, you're obviously very excited about the advancements that are being made.
Yeah, I have been doing this for the last 10 years, and we are gaining a lot of survival, and also we are curing more and more people. So I'm looking forward that the next 10 years will be even greater, and we will be able to cure many, many people.
I think that's the perfect way to end it, Doctor. Thank you so much. On a good note, it's great to have you in this morning.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for raising awareness for colorectal cancer.
My pleasure. Up next, former Canadian Olympic sprinter Ben Johnson on a new mockumentary about the rise and fall of his career.
Good morning, Canada. Welcome back to the weekend edition of Your Morning. I'm Lindsey Deluce.
Hey, Canada, you look great. I'm Teddy Wilson.
I'm Kelsey McEwen. We hope you're having a wonderful Easter weekend.
Ahead this half hour, an environmental icon, David Suzuki, is here in studio sharing lessons from a lifetime of activism in his new book.
So cool. We're also going to take a closer look at LED masks. They're all the rage on social media, but do they really work?
First up, former Canadian Olympic sprinter Ben Johnson is here with a new mockumentary about the rise and fall of his career.
One of the biggest sports scandals in Canadian history is being retold in a different light.
Pull on.
No! Ben Johnson has delivered! Who the is Ben Johnson?
If you want to be the best, you have to beat the best.
Hate the Player, the Ben Johnson story, is a 6-part mockumentary that chronicles the rise and fall of former Canadian Olympic sprinter Ben Johnson at the height of his career. Ben tested positive for steroids, he lost the ability to compete, and he had to give back the gold medal he just won at the '88 Summer Olympics in Seoul. Ben Johnson is in studio with us this morning, along with actor Shamir Anderson, who plays Ben in the mockumentary. Good morning to you both. Welcome to the studio. Welcome back to you, Shamir.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Listen, there's a generation of Canadians, Ben, out there who remember the '88 Olympics, and they might see this show and wonder, are we ready to laugh at this? But then there's another entirely different generation of Canadians who will not know this story. They might not even know your name, Ben. What's it been like adding humor to a story that was once so serious, might still feel serious to people? Shamir, I'll start with you. You weren't even born when that happened, were you?
No, I wasn't even alive, but Ben was alive in my home, you know, and his legacy and the things that he's done as a Jamaican man from Scarborough, we're always proud of him. And growing up in Scarborough of Jamaican descent, knowing Ben and understanding Ben was always a gift, and to be able to play him is even the bigger gift, so very grateful.
I want to get to how you two spent time together to make sure that he got it right. But help me understand, Ben, how did you find humor in your own story? Because there's a lot of pain. You lost a lot when this happened.
Well, it's not always nice to relive the past, but still, you know, this story has to be told the right way. And the right way is now with the new metric, 80 player, 6 series episode where people can enjoy and laugh about it and have fun.
Are you at a place now where you can laugh about this?
Of course. It's always a joke from the beginning, you know. It's all the game. It's just a big game, what happened. You know, everybody else was doing what I was doing, and I would just get singled out. And it's not fair, you know. But life goes on. Things happen. When you're this great, you know, these things happen in life, you know, so.
So the telling of this through a mockumentary style, Shamir, you have to really understand, first of all, who Ben Johnson is in order to be able to play him well. And, you know, as you said, you know Ben Johnson, so Ben's going to tell you if you're playing it wrong. Tell me about the time that you spent together to get him right.
It's funny enough, I didn't meet Ben before. I've never met him before, and I wanted to work really hard before meeting him because when I had gotten the call, I wasn't in the best of shape. I had to get myself back into the gym.
You were no Olympian, is that what you're telling me?
I'm no professional athlete, and I gotta salute all the athletes that do this for a living. I am athletic. That being said, I gave him a call and said, yo, Ben, come over to my house, let's have some jerk chicken, some curry goat, some rice and peas, you know what I mean? And
that's good.
Some good food. My mom cooked us some good food. And I just got to sit down with him, and I just came back from Vegas with Ben and been spending a lot of time with him, and he's really, truly become like my young uncle. You know what I mean?
Okay, nephew.
Yes, sir.
In the prepping for this role, did you ever race him?
Do I look crazy? You want me to race Ben Johnson? Are we really asking that question? No. This man is very strong and he's very fast still to this day. Sans enhancements.
That's right.
No enhancements.
Listen, the cast of this show, Shamir, you've pulled in some really great Canadian talent for this mockumentary, including Mark McKinney from Kids in the Hall, Karen Robinson from Schitt's Creek.
Yes.
What was it like having them on this set telling this story?
I'll say this show and the cast on this show is the Canadian Avengers, led by Captain Canada Ben Johnson.
We should tell everybody, Ben's not in the mockumentary.
He's not in the mockumentary, however, he was definitely involved creatively. I played Ben, and we got to work with so many incredible people. I mean, coming back home, working with the best cast in the world, the best team in the world, and the best part is we got to film this show in Scarborough, 5 minutes from my high school that I went to when I was a kid. So it was really, really special.
Ben, what's it been like? You know, you mentioned this a little bit. It's always tough to go into the past, and this is 40 years back. What's it been like for you to revisit this chapter? Have people like me have this conversation with you again about that moment in your life? And what do you want people to take away after they watch this?
I just want people to take away the truth, what really happened, and my point of view of my career and the series, and people can say, wow, this guy go through a lot, you know, but still, it's just nice to see that the young generation can see that and know who Ben Johnson is, and, you know, they can learn from other things in the series by trying to be tough, trying to go getter, trying to, you know, stand forward and move forward in life. And then, you know, you see a light of the tunnel, so to speak.
Great to meet you in person. Thank you for coming in studio, Ben, and great to have you back in studio,
Thank you, I appreciate it.
A reminder to everybody at home, the first 2 episodes, Hate the Player, the Ben Johnson story, is available to stream now on Paramount Plus and Game TV.
Okay, question for you. What do you do if there's a fly in your chai? We are about to find out thanks to a delightful new children's book exploring that exact question. It features a young girl and her Nanu, or maternal grandfather. A visit to the market sparks a big battle between a little fly and Nanu, deciding who likes chai more. So author Zenya Wadwani is here not only with the book, but to share something really special with all of you, her family's chai recipe. Great to have you.
Thank you so much.
Did I say that right, Nanu? Is that
Nanu? Yeah.
Nanu.
Yeah,
there you go.
said
So
that perfectly.
Let's talk about the book first. Where did this idea come from?
So it's funny. It was a few years ago. We're at home. It's the summer. We just made some chai. The door happened to open. A fly literally flew into the house, and my daughter said, "Hope that fly doesn't get into that chai." And I was like, "Oh my God." You just came up with the title of a book. And at that moment, I didn't know what the story would be, but there was this chai that was had a personality that was going to come out in this book.
I love it so much. It is a very, very visual book, and your illustrator, I mean, I asked you in the commercial break about the illustrations, and you just lit up talking about them.
Absolutely. Chaya Prabhat is so talented, so talented. She's got a lot of books. I was very lucky to have her paired with this one, and she's just done a brilliant job. The colors, the details, the vibrancy. It brings the whole story to life.
Oh my gosh. I love too that you've included a glossary of terms in case your readers aren't familiar with some of the words that they're reading, especially for the foods. So what will they find in there?
So they'll find all kinds of words that are related to, some of them they might recognize, like samosa. That becomes a kind of a popular one, right? Exactly. But Nanu, as an example, might not be one that they're familiar with. So thank you for that definition. Yeah, it's your maternal grandfather as one of the examples, but there's a few other ones there in terms of different types of foods and things.
And this is one that I learned a few years ago, but we don't say chai tea. So many people do. Chai is just chai.
Chai is just chai. Chai is tea. Chai is tea.
Chai is chai. Okay,
Yeah.
so enough talking. We are going to drink some chai because you, at the very end of the book, you included your family's recipe.
That's right.
For chai.
Yeah.
Did you have the recipe, or did you have to like do some digging to get the recipe?
No. So this is actually, I would say, it's our family recipe now. So when I grew up, my parents didn't put a lot of masala in their chai, and then when I got married, my married family, did put some, and then we started to sort of add a couple of more things in there to our flavor taste.
Okay, so what do we have?
So let me just explain to you what we got here. So we've got a little bit of green cardamom, which is, to me, a staple. You
Yes.
gotta have it. Like at least 1 to 2 pods per cup per person.
You know, I've never seen cardamom like this. It's often in Norwegian baking, but it's at that point ground.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so you do have to crack it up a little bit to open up the aromas in there. There are cloves. We've got some cinnamon, some fennel seeds. This is my favorite. This is a little bit of the change in the recipe was black peppercorn. It's a nice little bite. And in the winter especially, ginger is a really nice flavor to add to it as well.
Nice.
So this right here, of course, is just black tea leaves, but you can use just a regular orange pico. That works as well. And for those who may not be familiar, this is not, something to eat. This is jaggery. And so jaggery is more of a natural sugar, but I just use a raw sugar at home. You can use whatever you want. And of course, we've got some milk. And of course, you can also use dairy alternatives for whatever suits your dietary needs and requirements.
I love it. And then how do you bring it all together?
So you start with some water. You've got to get that boiling. I start with putting in the aromatics and the masalas in first, just to get that. And when you start to smell it, I think we can smell it here in the studio.
Very much so. Yeah, it's beautiful.
when you start to smell that, then you know you've got it at a good point. And then you add your tea base. So whether that's the leaves or the tea bags, get that boiling some more. The more you can get it to boil, the more flavorful it will be. Add your dairy content in there, your milk. Let that boil for a little bit. So it's a bit of a process. And then
you have it.
And we've got chai. Yeah.
We've got it here. So cheers. These are the most beautiful mugs I've ever seen as well. Cheers to the chai. I've never had chai before, so this is my very first time. Oh my gosh, that's warmth and love.
Right?
In a mug. I think the best things are things that you really have to put time in.
Yes.
And put work in and let it like simmer and brew and create something really special.
Absolutely. Like this is not simply just a beverage anymore. This is, for many families, it's a ritual. It is something that, in our household, it marks the end of the day. The work day is there. We come together over a cup of chai. We talk about our day. And to me, it signals turning off the laptop, turning back to my family. And it's cozy and it's warm and it's comforting.
I love that. Well, I'm excited to cozy up tonight with a cup of chai and your brand new book and read this with my family. Thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Coming up, everything you need to know about LED masks for skincare.
We do not throw the word icon around very much on this show, but our next guest has earned that title. David Suzuki has been tirelessly putting in the work, showing us the science, advocating for the environment, and doing his utmost to get people to care about our planet. And he is now sharing lessons from a lifetime of activism. In his new book, we are thrilled to welcome David Suzuki back to the Your Morning studios. Great to have you here.
Thanks for having me back.
Okay, first of all, before we get started, happy early birthday to you. You turn 90 tomorrow. Yeah. How are you going to celebrate?
We're on our way to Ottawa. We're going to be in a plane. And actually, I first met my wife 53 years ago in Ottawa. So we're going back to the restaurant that we met.
What's the name of the restaurant?
Well, actually, I think it's shut down. Nate's Delicatessen.
Sounds fun.
But we're going to a restaurant close by, yeah.
You and my dad, I was just share a birthday week. My dad is 90 tomorrow. Oh. And so, we ask him this question a lot. What are you reflecting on at 90?
Well, it's this momentous time, I'd like to be able to say to my grandchildren, we're passing the world on to you in good shape, and it's a sad time.
Yeah.
The issue of climate change. Just reading the newspaper this morning, The warming is accelerating now that the oceans have filled up with warmth. And, you know, our generation, our parents should be able to say to our children, you know, we did the best to pass the world on for you. And so much change has happened in my lifetime. When your dad and I were born, there were just over 2 billion people on the planet.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
We're up to 8 billion now, yeah. And all those people have to be fed, clothed, and sheltered. And then we have the insanity of our nearest neighbor, this, the president of the United States saying climate change is a hoax, it's fake news, it's, like, what?
Yeah.
Is that how we confront these major problems?
This is what I am dying to ask you, is you've been doing this as long as I can remember. I mean, I think you started this work back in the 1950s. Your message hasn't changed. The science has amassed. Do you feel like we're getting it?
No.
How does that make you feel?
Well, I mean, it's very sad. What I'm telling people now is it's coming. It's going to hit the fan, and I like what Finland is doing now. Finland, the happiest country in the world, sent a letter to all of their citizens saying, look, it's coming. We're on the border with Russia. We have a long marine coastline. The oceans are a mess. Climate is changing. Stuff's going to happen, and we don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to come. So government can't respond fast enough or on the scale you need. So get your act together. Find out who's on your block. Are there nurses? Are there doctors? Are there people that are shut in so that they'll need help immediately? Has anyone got a generator? Where's the water? You know, find out your assets in your local community, because that's going to be what has to respond to the immediate crisis. And that's going to be uplifting, I think. People are going to get to know their neighbors. And they're going to be working together to prepare for what's coming. And it's coming.
People know you as the proclaimer. They know you as a scientist. They know you as an activist. But can we talk a bit where your book starts? Because this is part of your story. That's an important part of your story that we don't get to talk about a lot. The chapter, by the way, is called My Happy Childhood in Racist British Columbia. And you write about your family's time in internment camps. What do you remember about that?
Well, I think it's a lesson for Canadians. You know, it's easy to guarantee equality before the law and freedom of movement, freedom of speech. But the only time those things matter is when times are tough. And if you can't enforce those freedoms when times are tough, what the hell are you? So my mom and dad were born and raised in Canada, never been to Japan. And I was born, like my sisters, in Vancouver. And I never even learned to speak Japanese because my dad always said, look, we're Canadians. You want to learn another language, learn French. Suddenly a war happens with Japan, and we're no longer Canadian citizens. We're enemy aliens. And we get deprived of all of our, everything was frozen. Our assets were frozen. We're shipped off and spent 3 years in a camp in the interior. But as a child, I wasn't aware of what the hell's going on.
Really?
Yeah, my parents protected. I was only 6 when Pearl Harbor happened. And so it was all an adventure. You know, suddenly my dad's gone, but we're on a train and we're taking a trip into the interior, and where we were put up is now right at Valhalla Provincial Park.
Wow.
So this was a vast wilderness, and we're up there. And as a kid, my God, I could go on walks, and there were bears and deer.
That says a lot about your parents, that was your experience.
Exactly. Parents, my mother was way younger than you. How the hell did she do it?
I don't know.
You know, and we were put up in these old buildings that were left over from the silver rush in the 1890s. And, for the Japanese, cleanliness is like a religion. We would wake up every morning covered in bed bug bites from the old, miners that were there. My mother must have been horrified.
Yeah.
But as a kid, we were protected. And the great thing was, for me as a kid, there was no school for a year and a half. They didn't have any teachers. So I was this 6-year-old roaming in the wild, and it was glorious.
And now you are a 90-year-old man, also roaming in the wild, learning more and sharing with people. Thank you so much, not only for sharing years and years of insights and science and continuing to fight and remain hopeful.
And I'm still alive, so I'm telling you.
Make sure you pick up the book. It is called David Suzuki, Lessons from a Lifetime, Inspiration and Activism. LED face masks are everywhere right now, and they're the ones with the red lights. They may look like something out of an alien movie, but they are a hot trend in the world of skincare. How do they work? Do they work? Does the reality live up to the hype? Here to explain is Dr. Pantea Ashkiaji, who is a board-certified dermatologist. Great to have you in studio. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, first of all, what are the different types of light? Because I've seen two colors, and what skin issues do they actually help with?
I'm going to go back to the science of it first.
Okay.
So these masks are what we call light-emitting diodes. They emit a specific wavelength or setting of light, whether it's red or blue light. And through this light, it can penetrate through the skin and can have some positive effects through what we call the powerhouses of your cells, so the mitochondria, to, for example, with red light, decrease redness, inflammation, for anti-aging purposes, and with blue light, more so with killing some of the bacteria associated with acne, oil glands, and it's really nothing new in dermatology. We've used it probably in the past 50 years.
Wow.
Using those theoretical aspects of what we call photobiomodulation to exert those positive effects.
So they are very expensive if you are looking to buy them, but if you are in the market, you want to buy one, what do you need to consider?
I'm going to get technical here.
Great.
So it really depends on the indication that you're treating for. So it's not one-size-fits-all approach, and it's really, really important to get a healthcare professional consultation before you pursue these masks, in my opinion, because there are certain medications that people may be on, there's certain conditions that may prevent them from using these masks. But for the general population, for example, again, if you're looking for a red light mask, I would say around 630 nanometers, and for blue light masks, around 415 nanometers.
Okay.
And
what happens if you go above or below that?
You may not get the same effect,
okay,
and it may be harmful for the skin.
Okay. How do you use the mask at home? Is there a time of day that's better to use it? How do you prepare your skin?
I would say, so follow the instructions on the box, as always. In general, you want it to be the first step in your skincare routine after washing your face without using any products. So you wash your face, you pat it dry, you can start using the mask, and after that, after about 10 to 20 minutes, again, what's indicated on the box, you start with the rest of your skincare routine.
Are there any dangers or risks with using these masks? What do you need to be aware of? There were some conversations around, is it safe around your eyes, for example?
So the one message I want to leave your viewers with, if they don't listen to anything else I say today, is protect your eyes. Blue light therapy specifically has been shown to cause irreversible eye damage.
Wow.
So it's very important to wear the eye protection that comes with these masks, or look for masks that provide eye protection. Red light masks too, even the heat of it can cause some eye damage, but there's not a lot of great evidence for the damage in that sense. As you mentioned, it can cause a lot of brown spots on the face, which we call melasma. Again, specifically with blue lights, but also the heat of the red light lamps as well.
Okay.
As you mentioned, there are low quality devices on the market as well. For example, lamps that are colored red or blue, unfortunately, and they can cause a lot of skin burns.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So be very careful. And what specifically are we looking for on the box to know we're getting the right thing?
So you're looking, again, for the specific wavelengths. And probably another important factor is the irradiance. So think about when you're taking a shower, how much pressure the water is exerting on you. That's very much the irradiance as well. So how strong that light is. So you're looking around probably 40 to 100 milliwatts per centimeter squared. So again, that's very technical.
Okay, but this is the information that we need, so we're buying the right thing. Listen, there are kids younger and younger getting into full skincare routines. I'm talking 11 and 12-year-olds. So who should be using these masks, and is there an age limit? Is there like an upper age limit or a lower age limit?
Let kids be kids. Let teens be teens. I really personally don't like the pressure that we're putting on our younger population in terms of anti-aging. And these masks are really not indicated for children. We don't know the long-term side effects of it. So I don't really advocate for their use in children.
Okay. And is there an upper limit where at some point in your skin, there's no point in putting the red light on? It's not going to do a difference anyway?
Hey, you know what? It's fun. It's trendy. As long as you're safe about it, I don't have any issues.
Okay. Dr. Ashtiagi, great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.
That's all for us today on Your Morning Weekend. Don't forget, scan these QR codes for the Your Morning newsletter and to listen to more great conversations on Your Morning the podcast.
Free to scan, by the way. Scan early, scan often. We got another really great week coming up on your morning. Monday, expert advice on how to be a better co-parent.
And then on Tuesday, do you suffer from spring allergies? We're finding out what actually works to combat symptoms just for you, Teddy.
Thank you.
And when it might be time to seek out more help.
On Wednesday, award-winning journalist Catherine Blazebaum is here with her personal new book called Infertility.
And then on Thursday, Lauren Christie is here with more on the new Europe travel rules. And of course, Friday, we're talking with film expert Rad. He'll be here with his latest reviews.
Enjoy the rest of your Easter weekend, Canada. We'll see you on Monday.
Bye-bye.